Hello friends, SentinalhMC here, and welcome back to our ChromatiCraft tutorial series. In this episode we're going to take a look at another of the Adjacency Cores, and this one is called the Mineral Enricher. It's the brown one, and what this does is, well, it enriches minerals. I know, it's in the name. It transmutes stone into minerals. It takes a certain amount of ticks up to a certain rarity. And this changes quite a bit as you go up in tiers. So first of all, we'll take a look at how to make it. I'm not going to go ahead and do the whole casting thing because the recipe for each of these adjacency cores is actually identical for every other. It always starts with a crystal star. It always has the rune associated with it, just in the standard arrangement, which you'll have already in place from previous casting. And it always uses 4 boosted shards of that color and 4 diamonds. And then the upgrades for it are always the same. The first level upgrade requires iron and boosted shards, the second one iron again, the third one gold, then the fourth one gold again, and the fifth one diamond, then the sixth one emerald, the seventh one nether stars, and that's how you get all 8. And it's always the same, so I'm not going to go over it every single episode. Okay, so the Mineral Enricher, as it sounds, it enriches things. It changes stone into more valuable substances. Now it does this by using Ruskea. Okay, it's brown, and it uses Ruskea to craft it. If I look at this high-end one, you can see here, you know, that uses 20,000 Ruskea to get that level. And so it's going to drain Ruskea every time you do it, so you need to make sure you have that connected in. The interesting part is that it drains it very quickly, or at least it drained it very quickly for me, because I had a reserve of Ruskea in all of my objects because of debug mode, but it drained it very quickly, and so I needed to set up a Ruskea pylon. So I went and set one up, and then it drained it almost immediately to recharge the things, so I had to boost it with power crystals. Now I think it's got enough power. So if you're going to use high-end adjacency cores and you have it turned up, the config set to require power, you are going to need a decent supply. You know, you might drain it very quickly depending on, you know, what you're going to be doing. Okay, and so what we want to do here is place down some stone, and then we'll see how this thing actually works. So this is the highest tier one, and if I place a piece of stone next to it, it almost immediately turns into, and you can see here that it drains Ruskea. It almost immediately turns into, in this case, indium from ReactorCraft, which is quite nice. I placed another one, and oh, we got apatite from forestry. Another one, oh, we got silver. Another one, oh, we got charged Certus quartz ore, which is quite nice. It gives you a random mineral. As far as I know, you can't tell it what to give you. It just transmutes it into a mineral up to a certain, taking a certain amount of time, up to a certain rarity. So the very basic one, the cheapest one, this one, takes a very long time. 7.6 E to the -6 per tick. That's going to take an eternity. That's a very small number, and if you mess around with idle games at all, you've probably seen numbers that small. So this is going to take forever, and I wouldn't recommend it. Like most of the adjacency cores, you really want to go a couple of upgrades up, and because the upgrades are so cheap until you get up to emeralds, there's once you have the ability to make these, there's very little reason not to upgrade them through the iron tier and gold tier and even the diamond tier, because by the time you've got these, you've probably got a good supply. So I would highly recommend upgrading at least that far. This first one ain't going to do much for you. The second one requires 3 E to the -5 per tick, up to a rarity of everywhere. It's also not very great. Obviously, this is going to take forever. So you go up to the third one. Third one is 1.2 E to the -4, which isn't great either. Okay, so these numbers are still extremely small. So this is going to take quite some time. However, you did notice it just worked. Let's place down another one. This goes up to rarity common. So every mineral does have a rarity associated with it, and of course as they get higher, you need higher level cores. So these low level cores will never be able to produce the highest value of minerals, because that's not what they're going to do. So Ruskea has provided me with basically the list, the way that I can describe what these rarities mean. So you've got everywhere, which is large, very common veins, things like copper and fluorite. You've got common, which are larger sized and common veins, which like things like tin and redstone. Average, which is average sized veins of average rarity, a little redundant, but it's iron. Things like that. Scattered is for average-sized veins but rarer materials like gold and calcite. Scarce means veins that are smaller and often hard to find, like lapis and diamond. And rare is for things that are generally only found like 1 or 2 blocks in a whole chunk, things like emerald and platinum. We have some specific examples here. For instance, coal is considered common. Iron is, the average of the average. Things like, gold is the scattered. Redstone is considered common. Lapis would be scarce. Diamond is scarce. Emerald is rare. And things like nether quartz are an example of the everywhere item there. So this sort of, to help you figure out which one that you need to get what you want. So if we go up again, we can go to this next tier, which is actually average. So it goes from everywhere to common to average, and we'll see how long this takes. Of course, the number is a lot smaller for the average one, 4 times 8 to the e to the minus 4 per tick. So while it does take a while, this is the sort of thing that you need to deal with. This one, of course, this requires only the this is the diamond tier, and then we can go up to the emerald tier. I'll just place another one over here. Actually, it looks like we're actually out. We're out of Ruskea. So let's go into debug mode so that we have the power. It looks like we've drained our pylon completely, even though we've got the power crystals around it. So yeah, it does take quite a lot of power. Probably just because I keep placing these down and breaking them. So it drains a lot, stores it, and then we're just throwing it out. So this is the next highest level, scattered, 0.001, per tick. So there we go. So we've graduated from the E's and we've gotten up to an actual number that doesn't require scientific notation. And this produced indium. Oh, over here has finally succeeded, and it's produced pitch blende. That's pretty cool. So that's this one. That's the one that requires the diamond, the second level of diamond. Oh, wait a second. No. That's the basic recipe. So let's see here. So this is the basic one. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. We're up to gold. Basically, we're in the gold range, diamond range at the moment. This one should be diamond. And if I place some stone here, and you can do up to 4, of course. This is producing tin and silver and coal and amber. The important thing about these is that it produces minerals of the rarity up to that level. So what it's not going to do is, for example, the higher tier cores will produce higher tier materials, but they don't stop producing the low tier ones, right? So you're not going to just get diamond, you're not going to just get high-end stuff out of these higher end cores. You're going to have the ability, there's diamond, the ability to get the high-end stuff, but you are still going to get the low-end stuff. This one actually works at a pretty good rate. There we go. So that happened. So that was, I believe, that was this one. So let's go up to this next one here, which also says scarce, but this requires 0.007 per tick time in order to work. So it's going to go quicker. We got some fire infused stone, we got some silver ore. Come on. Come on. There we go. Pink fluorite. Interestingly, the more mods you have installed, the less likely it is that you're going to get specifically what you were looking for with these cores, because it creates a higher pool for potential minerals. So that was that one. Now we can go up to this one, and then the highest one is rarity rare. So you get blah 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 scarce. You go from everywhere to common, to average to scattered to scarce, and you got to go all the way to the top to get rare. So we'll go for this one, and we'll check out the amount of time that it takes. Very quickly. It goes very quick indeed. So what you could do with this thing, because it only affects the blocks that are directly adjacent to it, is you're going to want to, you could set up some sort of a system that places, I mean, you could do this with a lot of different mods. You could easily do it with something like Applied Energistics, but a lot of different mods. Set up a system where it puts stone around the core, and then once it's not stone, it picks it up and puts more stone there, and then you could have this, that's how you could automate this. Pretty easy to automate, really. So this one goes very quickly indeed, and can produce you up to scarce. Now the highest one, that's the first one that we placed over here. This one will give you what's referred to as rare. Here we got emeralds, which is nice for ChromatiCraft, since you need a lot of them. Now the thing about the enricher here is it's quite interesting. Once you get to a certain point in ChromatiCraft, you can just craft everything yourself. But the Mineral Enricher actually will allow you to receive materials that you haven't found yet, right? So even if you've never found a charged Certus quartz, you could still get one out of this thing. I could see this being somewhat useful. Obviously, if you set this up and automate it, especially this high tier one, which produces the resources extremely quickly. Like that, like instantaneously almost. As long as you have an automated setup that keeps placing down stone and picking up the result, this thing could churn out quite a large quantity of various material. However, remember, you're going to pay for that in Ruskea. Okay? And I completely drained my supply of Ruskea, just demonstrating what was going on. So let's turn debug mode off. Now remember, we've got this ambient lumen, oh, it's already going down. We've got this ambient lumen distributor here, and we've got the radiation pedestal back at our base that's both storing Ruskea, but as you can see, the Ruskea is quickly on the decline and going to be used up. This is the only thing that's draining Ruskea out of my system right now. And you'll notice it going down quite quickly. I don't know if I'm pretty sure this thing will eat Ruskea all the time, because even before I had stone set there, it was actually draining it. So this, I could be wrong, but it seems like what's happening. And there's some shiny ore. That's some rare stuff. Is that it's draining power even if you don't have stone around it. So this is definitely something that you'll want to automate. If you've got it sitting there draining Ruskea, you really need it to be doing something useful. You're probably going to need, I would say, several Ruskea pylons if you want to run this all the time. My pylon isn't turbocharged, so I'm not sure how quickly it would drain a turbocharged pylon. Maybe a turbocharged pylon would produce enough to run it forever. But this is only one of these, and it's draining my Ruskea very quickly, and you could have, you know, several of these. So there's some emerald, cadmium, platinum. There's platinum. We're just gonna like keep going through, getting some stuff. Entropy infused zinc ore from flaxbeards. I didn't even know I had flaxbeard steam power installed. So yeah, that's what this thing does. It takes stone and it transmutes it into more valuable minerals. However, it is completely random. It does require quite a lot of Ruskea. So if you are going to try and use this as basically your source for minerals so that you don't have to go mining anymore, you are going to need a lot of, there's some more shiny, you are going to need a lot of Ruskea. So we're almost out of Ruskea now. Granted, I don't have anything like a lumen tree hooked up to this, so I don't have a large storage of Ruskea, only what the pylon has in it and what these store. But we're going through it very quickly, the Ruskea. So this thing is very power hungry, but it does work very effectively. I wouldn't think you would need this high end one, but you do need it if you want to get the rare resources. So if you're looking for those very rare resources, you are going to need this top tier one, which, if you remember, in order to craft, will require a 4 nether stars, and everything else below it. But this is the Mineral Enricher, and we're already out of Ruskea. Now, if I break that, this might start recharging. We've already drained our complete supply of Ruskea and our pylon that has 8 power crystals on it, so it does take a lot of power. But if you have that enabled, remember, if you don't have this enabled, then you just make it, you set it down, and it runs forever. So if you have power requirements for these enabled, this thing requires a lot of Ruskea. If you don't have power requirements for this enabled, you just craft it and you're good to go. Place it down, automate the picking up of blocks and placing of stone, and you got it made. Anyway, it's pretty neat, and I could see how it's useful for producing resources that you maybe aren't having luck finding. You can always place one of these down, and eventually you probably will get it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. That's it for this episode. Like and comment the video if you did enjoy it, and join our Discord if you'd like to chat with us. I'm sure Reika will enlighten us in the comments about anything that I got wrong. So I'm SentinalH, and I'm signing out.